What's up guys, I'm SeeJayAre, and today we're going to be checking out the SN30 Pro and the SF30 Pro from 8Bitdo.
Team Canada.
Alright guys, once again we're back with another 8Bitdo controller review. Thank you to 8Bitdo for sending these over before release date. These are due to release in December. You can pre-order them now on Amazon.com, or by the time you're seeing this video, they're probably already out. I believe they're $49.99 US. If you want to get a cheaper version, you can pick up this is the SN30 and the SF30. So these are meant to be used on the Super Famicom Classic and the Super NES Classic. Comes with the Bluetooth adapter here in the box. These are 25 bucks. So these are great options if you just want to use them on your SNES Classic or Super Famicom Classic or NES Classic. So check these out. You can also find them on Amazon. 25 bucks, really good deal. I did a review video on these already. Feel free to check it out. So back to the Pro controllers. Now these are a great solution. You can also use these on all your classic consoles, all of your SNES Classic, NES Classic, all of those. They're also fantastic, just general Bluetooth controllers. You can see they've got thumbsticks, they've got a bunch of trigger buttons. I'm gonna open these up. I'm really excited to see how these feel. This is kind of like a more premium product from 8Bitdo. And as I've said before, 8Bitdo makes really, really good stuff. So we're gonna open these up and then we're gonna test them out on a few consoles. So it'll work on Nintendo Switch, Mac OS, Android, Raspberry Pi, Steam, Windows. 16 hours of gameplay. Oh, it has USB-C for charging, so you get really quick charging capabilities on this. That's a nice little bonus. Didn't realize that. Usually it's micro USB, so really nice packaging. You can see the trigger buttons. You get a good view of the other side. Yeah, I always like 8Bitdo's packaging. Really nice stuff. So we'll slide this open and then it reveals we'll do this together. Controller. Really nice. So basically it's kind of like a Super Nintendo themed Bluetooth controller. All right, so here it is. There's the controller itself. You can see it's got the dual analog sticks kind of squeezed on to a Super Nintendo controller. It looks to be the same size, relatively, maybe a little bit thicker than the Super Nintendo controller, which is great. I love the form factor. Once again, I love how they put plastic over top of the buttons to keep them from getting all scuffed up in shipping. So let me try this out. The thumbsticks feel pretty good on this. Not bad at all. D-pad's not bad. It's, again, not quite as good as a actual Super Nintendo or Super Famicom controller. Buttons feel great, as always. And then we've got the shoulder buttons. These feel pretty good. It's pretty cool how they were able to squeeze an R2 and an L2 on this controller. Hopefully you guys can see that. I actually like those shoulder buttons quite a bit. Thumbsticks. Really high quality stuff from 8Bitdo. So yeah, that's the Super Nintendo version. You also get the instructions, which will teach you how to upgrade. You can update the firmware on these controllers. So as new systems come out, they'll update the firmware for it to work on it. That's similar to what they did with some of their older products. They updated the firmware to work on the Nintendo Switch. So as new consoles come out, they are future-proof because you can update the firmware on them to work with other consoles. So, and as you saw, it'll work with pretty much any Bluetooth system. USB Type-C charger. That's very cool. So that is the Super Nintendo version. On to the Super Famicom, which is, as I've mentioned many times, my personal favorite. Pretty similar boxing. The only difference with these two controllers are the color of buttons. Oh, actually, I think the plastic is slightly different. So here's the controller. Really, really nice. I mean, the Super Nintendo design was already great. I wasn't sure what to expect from two analog sticks being slapped on, but they've somehow retained the size and form factor, and it's essentially, I'll tell you one thing, another thing I was worried about is that the sticks would get in the way of the buttons, but not at all. It's a Super Nintendo controller with the added function of a L2 and R2 and 2 thumbsticks. So we'll have to see how it works in practice, but it feels really good. And there's the Super Famicom version. We'll see what else we can hook this guy up to and test them out. So let's head over and do that now. All right, so here we are at my Nintendo Switch. I have this in tabletop mode. I actually play my Switch predominantly in portable mode, and I don't even play on my TV too often. So we're gonna try and sync this 8BitDo SN or SF30 Pro in this case. So we're gonna go to change grip order. And then from what I read in the manual, you just push start or hold start and Y for 3 seconds. And the controller will start kind of cycling. And now, just like that, we are connected. You can see the controller showing up there. It shows up as a Pro controller. I don't know if in the future it will show up as an 8BitDo controller. I guess that would be on Nintendo's side of things. But so yeah, we have a fully functioning, essentially Nintendo Switch Pro controller. It's got all the buttons, same functionality. We can hit B to go back here. And we will, like I said, you can play stuff like Axiom Verge, which is a great kind of 8-bit game that requires a D-pad. We'll hop into Shovel Knight here, and I'll just kind of show you guys how well it controls. So this would act as your home button right here. This is your capture button, I think they call it. Your select is the minus, and your plus is start. They've actually got it like denoted here too. So, and then of course you've got both bumpers. So go ahead and start Shovel Knight up. And I've been playing this quite a bit. The first time I went to sync the controller, I actually just kind of pushed a bunch of buttons and it sunk on its own before I even looked it up. I was kind of in a hurry. So yeah, the D-pad is really nice. It's actually pretty much spot on with the Super Nintendo. And you can do really tight controls. You can move in air. I'm trying to just get somewhere where I can jump and show you guys. See the in-air movement there. It's really nice. I haven't noticed any lag yet. In certain games, there might be a slight lag. Maybe a game like Punch-Out, there might be a minute lag that you might notice, but it hasn't affected my gameplay at all. So yeah, this is Shovel Knight on the Nintendo Switch. One of the many games that would benefit from a controller with a D-pad. So yeah, as you can see, the functionality with the Nintendo Switch is fantastic. Really, really happy with how that worked out. All right, guys, here we are now 5 days later. I've had some time to put these controllers through their paces. I've predominantly been using the SF30 Pro because, like I said, I love the Super Famicom style colored buttons. I'm excited to tell you that this controller is absolutely fantastic. I'm blown away. I knew that the 8BitDo stuff was high quality stuff, and I know that they have a pretty good reputation when it comes to their Bluetooth controllers. As I showed you earlier in the video, I have a bunch of their products already. So I had pretty good faith that they were going to produce a nice product. They actually went beyond my expectations with this guy. This is a really, really nice controller. I use it exclusively on my Nintendo Switch. You are not, at this point, at the point where I have it right now and I'm making this video, it will not work on the NES and SNES Classic, unfortunately. I thought that it would out of the box, but apparently that's coming in a firmware update. Quick mention about the firmware updates. It's a little complicated at first. You just got to go to their website and download the installer for the controller that you have. And then from there, you just plug it in. It's not that bad. The first time you do it, it's going to take 5 to 10 minutes to figure it out. But from there on, you just plug it in. It's a super quick process to update the firmware. That's kind of one of the benefits of this controller is as new systems come out, you can upgrade the firmware to work with that system. And 8BitDo is always on top of this. I would have liked to try this with my Retron 5, but I actually had an issue updating the system itself. So I played it exclusively on the Nintendo Switch, and it worked fantastic. As you saw from the video, it connected perfectly. I didn't notice any lag. The D-pad feels just as good as the regular Super Nintendo pad. The buttons have a nice click to them. They're not mushy, which is a thing for me, especially with like shmups and stuff like that. I want to be able to jam on that button pretty quickly. And the buttons are fantastic. The bumper buttons, the L and R feels great. The triggers, L2 and R2. Yes, L2 and R2. Great position. It's a comfortable controller. Like I said, the same size as a SNES controller, but they somehow managed to fit in 2 thumbsticks on there, analog sticks, which, by the way, are really comfortable also. They also click in for an extra button press. They feel almost like PS4 analog sticks. They kind of have a dent, but it's like convex, I believe, where it actually comes up a little bit. I think. Let me know in the comments if I mess that up. It's either concave or convex. But either way, the analog sticks are really, really nice, and they don't get in the way at all of playing basically with the Super Nintendo controller. You can see the position of my thumbs here. The sticks do not get in the way. It's actually really comfortable. I'm really impressed with how they've been able to fit that on there comfortably and have it kind of make sense, right? Like you're essentially slapping on 2 analog sticks to a Super Nintendo controller and to an R2 and an L2. And I think they've done a fantastic job of that. So hats off to 8BitDo. I know that they're kind of known for making quality stuff when it comes to their controllers and peripherals and stuff like that. I have some already, but they exceeded my expectations with this controller. It's really well built. It's a nice piece of technology. I know it's a little bit more expensive than some of their other controllers, but I think it's worth it just because it's so versatile. You can use this on your Nintendo Switch, obviously. I played Super Mario Odyssey with this. You can replace your Pro Controller or use it as a second Pro Controller. It will absolutely be totally comfortable playing games like Mario Kart. Mario Odyssey was fine. I might still prefer a Pro Controller for Mario Odyssey. But by all means, this could be a secondary controller for any Nintendo Switch game, and a primary controller for stuff that requires a D-pad. Fighting games. Street Fighter was great on this. All in all, I'm just really impressed with this controller. So I'll leave the link in the description below for 8BitDo's website. I believe you can also pick these up on Amazon to pre-order if it hasn't. By the time you see this video, it should be released. I don't know if they're going to be in limited supply or what. Chances are they are. I think these are going to be a pretty hot commodity. So anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching this unboxing and impressions of the SF30 Pro and the SN30 Pro by 8BitDo. And until the next episode.